with our fixed video today. So we finished our videos for the week, and it turns out that the sound jack for our microphone wasn't fully seated, which means that all you can hear is a hissing sound you can hear in the background. All you get is this hissing sound, which is great. So I'm going to do a screen recording talking about the video, and you can still see what we were doing here. All right. So we'll get started. Trevor was helping me out this week. Thanks, Trevor, for being a good sport about that. Just want to, we're talking about today being fighting tall or being a taller fighter compared to your opponent. So I'm having Trevor help me out because he's a little taller than me, and it's a good example of what that can look like. So one of the main things is using your length, right? Not making sure that you're sticking your punches way out there. We're primarily relying on our straight punches and our lengthy attacks. So we're going to get into that here in just a second. So the we make sure that, of course, that this also applies to those who have more than 1 or 2 inches of a reach advantage. If you're down to like a 1 inch difference, it's probably not enough to really establish a ton of this kind of approach. But if you tend to be taller than your opponents, we'll get into it. This is going to be helpful for you. So one of the most important things when you are the taller fighter is establishing your jab, okay? So you can see that Trevor has a significant advantage in his reach. So if he's playing his cards right, when I step in, every time I should be eating that jab, okay? Or just about every time, right? I'm stepping in. If I'm not moving my head off center line, if I'm not being really intelligent about that attack, I should be walking into that every time. And sometimes like I just did there, I'll go back for a second. It's like I'm doing a breakdown video of my technique here. I may want to eat that jab and then throw over the top, right? I might want to get a nice strong attack off of it. But for the most part, you should be willing to stick that out there and really establish your jab early in a fight, because it's something I'm gonna have to worry about. I'm gonna have to deal with it. If I can't deal with it, if I can't get around it, then that could be the whole fight right there. Okay. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is drawing me in to another power shot. Okay, so if I come forward, Trevor can step back with his jab and then draw me into that power punch, right? So I'm stepping in eventually here. He can draw me into his power punch. Good, yeah, there we go. So really making sure that he's not just relying on the jab. When I'm deciding to be stubborn and push through that jab, I should be running into a hard punch. Okay, should hopefully dissuade me from wanting to get up in his face too much. So I think right here, yeah, there we go. So we're talking about also, once he's done, once Trevor decides that he's not comfortable, he wants to be done, he's using his galloping footwork to get out of the way. He's circling out, right? He can only take about 2 steps backward before, regardless, before you're going to start getting kind of crunched up against the cage or the ropes. And by circling, he's getting outside of my range and no longer kind of hanging out there. And even if I'm able to throw some shots, he's only going to have to deal with a couple of them before I'm, having to change my angle and readdress and find him. Okay. I think the next thing we're also going to be talking about is establishing the teep or the push kick as an important tool. Oh, wait, I'm getting framey. Okay. So I prefer the lead teep for this purpose, but, you can play with the rear one as well. And if you are longer by a fair margin, you should be able to use that lead teep in order to keep someone at bay. That push kick is super effective for creating that space. So if I'm coming in with a big hook, you should be able to push me away and get that space you need in order to avoid any serious conflict there. And it can be anywhere from sternum to belly to hip. So that targeting can be very varied. So remember, guys, we appreciate it if you like and subscribe to our videos. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you on the mats. Bye.